Well, you know what they did, speaking of doing some damage in the next match? This was the match that was so high on Tony Khan's wish list that he gave it to a 2 out of 3 falls. Hologram versus Rigor Mortis.
Were you shocked like I was when the graphic for this popped up on the screen and it said 2 out of 3 falls?
Well, no, because I had caught wind of it, might be a more appropriate, on Twitter or something, and somebody was like, 2 out of 3 falls, question mark, question mark.
Oh, I knew nothing. I went into this blind and I didn't know about the match, let alone the stipulation.
Now, at least it only lasted as long as a normal fucking too long match on these programs last, but it was 2 out of 3 falls. Remember I said the three-way, I just hate the obvious cooperation with Osprey and Ricochet, and they go too far. Well, the obvious cooperation in this match made the three-way look like Frank Gotch and George Hackenschmidt. I mean, this was the example of the fans sitting stock still and dead silent, waiting for either an impressive and potentially hazardous dive or a potato.
I apologize for any noise. The winds are coming in, but...
Oh, the winds!
The Beast Mortos, who obviously Tony's a big fan of because they keep pushing this guy, much better than they ever did for Hechicero, for instance. Didn't we just see him on Wednesday get introduced with his new manager, Jake the Snake Roberts?
That's right, he was one of those fellas, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was one of the 3 guys that Jake was now managing in exchange for 3 guys in exchange for Lance Archer, and Jake wasn't out there with him for a big 2 out of 3 falls match.
Well, I'll tell you what, from my experience, there's no way Jake was going to spend Thursday and Friday off in Washington State when he could have gone home, or definitely he wasn't going to spend it in Spokane. Did they tape that when they were in Georgia at some point? Did they even have to fly? Well, no, he came out, walked out.
Yeah, he walked out. He came out.
Well, maybe there's trouble in that relationship.
Jake, do you feel like working the pay-per-view? I'd rather not. Okay, you don't have to.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make this one short because we got a long way to go, and it's probably going to take us even longer to get there. But the first fall was won by Hologram with a flying dingbat. The second fall was won by Rigor Mortis after some more choreographed tumbling. And the third fall was won by Hologram. Well, first, Hologram, did you see him do the flip dive off the top rope and almost break his own leg?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was so intrigued by this because they were doing this in kind of like the break spot where they would usually put a women's match or something. And the crowd were reacting to it like that. Now, by the end of it, they were reacting, but I couldn't tell if it was because of the match or it was kind of like, all right, they finally did it. They finally ended it. But it was really rough going.
It was a relief pop. A relief pop.
It didn't seem like the crowd was really too interested it didn't seem like they were too disinterested. They just weren't. They were like pod people. I mean, I don't know if they were real. Just sitting there pointing.
We should have held a mirror up in front of them to see if they were still breathing. But they did some more shit after he almost broke his own leg. And then finally, he hit a spinning sit-down thingamabobby. 1, 2, 3. So he won 2 out of 3 falls. And boy, the sky's the limit, I think, for Hologram.
Literally, it is the limit because he's Tony Khan's creation. And for no good reason, it was a 2 out of 3 falls match featuring him and his lucha stylings here on this show. We'll see. I mean, he's made some big moves lately. He appeared on Dynamite. Then the ratings fell into the toilet. No, it's not his fault, though, but that's where they are.
What about if he changed his name and he was Lucky Lucha? Or Lucky the Lucha instead of
Lucky Lucha?
Instead of Louis the Lilac, Lucky the Lucha.
Why?
And Lucky the Lucha could team up with Minnie the Moocher.
Minnie the Moocher?
Yeah.
That's a filthy song.
Yeah, hidey, 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 hidey.
He used to live in Point Lookout, Cab Calloway.
How long has he been dead now?
He's been dead like 35, 40 years. something like that. No, at least 35 years, I'd say.
You know what I'd say to him if he was here right now? I'd say to him, Cab, what are you doing here? You've been dead for 40 years.
All right. Well,
so then
if he came back from death, he may look like the Beast Mordos.
Well, he got sent back out by hologram. You gotta have me a hologram. We don't want you, hologram. We don't need you, hologram. All we need is a grown-sized man.
Please stop singing. Isn't it something though that this was Tony's big creation? Like, you could see why Vince needed a wardrobe department. It's like the cheapest outfit on something that's like a homegrown creation.
Creative Services could have drawn that right up for him.
Something.